After this video, I might become the most hated haunter on YouTube. Let's get into it. For all things Halloween, this is Hauntformer, and if that intro couldn't lend itself to this discussion, we are talking about some brand new for 2022 animatronics. Now, before we jump into the whole shebang, let me just do the little setup here. A UK-based horror and Halloween sales company by the name of Mad About Horror, go figure, who has posted really early on a lot of stuff over the past several years, so shout out to Mad About Horror. They were the first, at least at the recording of this video, to show off some brand new Morris Costumes animatronics. Now, I'm pretty sure most of these are specifically SVI, Seasonal Visions animatronics, but they fall under the umbrella of Morris, if that makes sense. I think Morris has potential to be one of the best animatronic prop, whatever you want to call them, haunt industry companies out there. They've made some terrific animatronics in the past, and they still manage to, especially when they implement their servo motors into the equation that they just started last year. So, they're a good company. This video is not meant to pick on Morris, nor is it meant to pick on anyone who loves these animatronics, because I'm in the minority here, clearly, and something I've really tried to hone in on recently is that if someone enjoys something, just don't ruin it for them, alright? Don't let some idiot online ruin what you like. However, sometimes it's nice to hear an adverse opinion to your own, just to understand the other side. Does that make sense? So if you couldn't tell, I don't like this lineup. I'm not a fan of it, and that might come as a shock to a lot of people, but I'm just trying to be real with my audience. I'm trying to be honest with you. And again, this isn't a dig to Morris. This is, you know what this is? This is someone who's really passionate about this industry and the companies within it, and I want to see the best products. So I'm very picky and choosy when it comes to this stuff. And when I see what I consider to be mediocre animatronics pass through the radar and people kind of just applaud it as mediocrity, I get a little upset about it. So I'm going to be breaking down each of these animatronics. I'm going to be talking about why I think people like it and why I think there are good elements of all of these, but why ultimately they fall flat, at least for me. Maybe there are some of you out there that agree with me. Maybe you're just going, Mac, you're way off on this, and that's fine. That's fair. I am not a stranger to criticism here on my channel, but I want to be real and offer my opinion on the matter. So, let's start talking about the Morris Costumes, aka Seasonal Visions, 2022 animatronic lineup. I'm going to go in order on the Mad About Horror YouTube channel just to make sure I'm getting it up to date, make sure I'm getting the right names, and I'm going to talk about, again, the pros and the cons of all of these, and just why none of these to me really appeal. I don't think I would purchase any of these, frankly. Now, some of it could just come down to taste. Like, I have a very interesting palate when it comes to what I purchase these days. But I'm just going to tell you why I think we can expect better. You know what I mean? So, anyways, let's jump into it. Up first, we have the Rotten Harvester, which I think might be one of the most popular and the fan favorite of these new ones. There's a couple that I think people really enjoy. The Rotten Harvester is this really tall looking Scarecrow dude, and he's got a, let me just make sure I'm talking about it correctly. Yeah, he's got a pot, he's holding a pot, and in the pot is like a Venus flytrap, but instead of a flytrap, it's a pumpkin, and he says phrases, and the little pumpkin thing talks, and this one is actually one of the ones I like better than some of the other ones, but it's still not great to me. Here's why. First of all, scarecrows can be really creepy. I actually went to a farm over the Thanksgiving break, and there was a real scarecrow there, and it was really creepy. But they're only creepy when done right. Seeing one talk and move side to side and have red glowing eyes is just not cutting it anymore, frankly. I don't find it scary, and I think the idea of a character in animatronic holding a pot with some kind of creature in it is cool. That premise is cool. But it shouldn't be a scarecrow, it should be a farmer, or a botanist, or whatever. A greenhouse technician, it doesn't matter. But the pumpkin isn't scary. I don't know what I'm supposed to say, I don't think it's scary. It looks plastic, it looks shiny, it doesn't look creepy in any way. You can say the premise is fine because it's got it's holding a pot. That's different. I'll give you that. I'll give you it's unique. But a lot of these scream like Happy Meal toys to me. These are like toys. These aren't scary. None of these are really scary to me. And maybe you can correct me in the comments, but I just don't find them creepy at all. And that's not a good thing, in my opinion, because this is Halloween. It's supposed to be the scariest time of the year, you know? So anyways, that's Rotten Harvester. I can see why people like it. If you like scarecrows, I get it. If you like the farm thing, it's more unique than some other scarecrows, but just you could make a scarecrow that's creepier than this thing. That's my hot take. Up next, the Servo Kron Witch. A lot of people are praising this one because of the servo technology, and you know, I can't lie. The animation of it is pretty cool. Again, though, and I've criticized the witches all I can without doing a whole video on it like I did the clowns. I'm not a crazy fan of witches. I don't like the pointy hat and the nose. It's not scary to me. It just doesn't work. Witches can be creepy when done effectively, but this is not an example of it. This is something like if you are looking for a witch, if you're on the market for a witch, I think this is fine. This is probably one of the better witches we've seen. I'm not in the market for it. I don't like this style of prop. I don't care how good the animation is, it just doesn't do it for me. But again, if you're looking for a witch, this is probably one of the best ones on the market today that you can probably get. I wish I could go back to the early Jimmy models because at least those were kind of fun in the animation and stuff. All the recent ones are kind of very static and minimal. This one, it's got some flair to it because of the servo technology. But again, I wish that servo technology would be incorporated into other things that are really standout pieces. Grimm was a good example, and I think you can go even further than that. So there's the Servo Kron Witch. Hulking Werewolf is up next. I don't have a ton to say about this one other than the fact of it's another werewolf and it looks like a Minecraft character. It's very blocky. And I get it's supposed to be a hulking werewolf, so it's big, and that's fine. You know, again, none of these are like the worst thing I've ever seen. I've seen a lot, you know? I've seen a lot. But at the end of the day, I'm expecting more. This is the same type of werewolf we've seen year after year, whether it's at Lowe's or Home Depot. I'm looking for something fresh here. I'm not getting anything fresh. If you want a werewolf, I think you have better options. Mr. Howl's a better option. I think Home Depot's even offered better werewolves, the one on all fours. Again, I don't know. I don't know. Maybe I'm just having a disconnect here with what the marketplace is looking for, and that's fine. Because obviously a lot of people like this stuff. Probably my least favorite of the bunch is Pesky the Clown, and it's not because it's a clown. The face is actually not terrible. What bothers me about it is everyone likes it, it seems, because it's just big. And that goes for other props, not just in this video, but on the whole. People tend to like props that are big. I like them too, but being big isn't everything. There's more. The substance of the large character is what makes it work. People love those 12-foot Home Depot skeletons, not just because they're big, but because they're cool. This clown is like a giant garbage bag of different colors and then a head and like cheap posable arms. I just don't see the appeal. It's the same type of clown we've gotten for year after year after year. I don't know. Again, Morris, I I love you. I think you can do really good stuff, but this is just the same old thing. You're not surprising us anymore. I expected all of this. I was really hoping for something to go, whoa, that's different. And I didn't get it. So, I hate to be I don't want to sound pessimistic. I'm a pretty optimistic person, but I calls it as I sees it. You know what I mean? Up next, the Tumbling Clown. This one is the creepiest of all of these. It's still not really that scary, but I could imagine if you had a little circus display and had this guy going on in the background, probably would set the scene pretty well. This one's one of the better ones in the lineup. The problem with all of these type of characters is that they're so tiny, it'd be hard to find a good usage for them, unless you had a really big carnival display like in your yard. Then that would make sense. But for my purposes of haunting, if I did a carnival haunt, which I've done before, I don't know where I would put this to make it look realistic in the scene, because haunting is very claustrophobic and up close, and to have a little guy that's like 3 feet tall doing backflips on the floor doesn't... You get what I mean? You get how that doesn't really work? I like the color scheme, I like the idea of it, but the execution is where it falls flat for this guy. Moving on to the whimsical Scarecrow. This one is, you know, there's the obvious thing that I could make fun of, that it's child-friendly, that it's cute. But for what they're going for, I think this one executed the premise a lot better. It's a good Scarecrow. This could be something that could work at pumpkin patches, or at family events like a harvest festival, if your church maybe does that. I could see this guy working. For me, it just comes down to that's not my intention. I like Halloween because it's scary. I don't like a little cutesy guy talking about how he loves birds. So it's a pass for me, but it's a pass with an asterisk in the sense of what they were going for. I think they accomplished with this. But I assume the market for this guy is going to be a lot smaller than any of the aforementioned ones. And finally, last, but certainly not least, which may or may not be saying much depending on how you frame this video, the Graveyard Host, which is my personal favorite. I think what makes this guy work is the visual component of him. I think he's creepy looking. He looks like the Crypt Keeper in a very tall form, again going back to the tallness, but this guy at least has a little more depth to him. My issue is I just don't like the voice or the phrases very much. A lot of the talking props I don't like because for the intention of scaring people, having a guy stand there going, "I will devour your soul," doesn't do it for me. I like some action when it comes to the haunt world, unless you have a very story-driven haunted experience, but even then, you would just have an actor or some other means to get that exposition across to the guests. I don't think you'd have this guy rambling off about whatever he talks about, having a party. It's the same problem I had with Grimm. Really good execution, or I'm sorry, really good setup, but the execution is a little weak. This one is a lot better than the rest of the props. I'd say this one and the Scarecrow are probably the best of this lineup, which tends to be the popular consensus, so at least I'm on the realm of that. But again, I don't really think any of these are, frankly, worth the hard-earned dollar. I think each one of these is going to be probably around $200, and there are better things, I think, especially when the spirit stuff comes around, which is also made by SVI, so I'm not targeting SVI here. I'm just saying their lineup for the trans world and the HauntCon Halloween Party Expo shows is just usually not as strong as their later stuff. I don't know if it's because they don't design it. I don't know if it's because it's just not my thing. These are all kind of classic monsters. You know, you have Scarecrow, you got the Clown, you got the Witch, you got the Crypt Monster guy, zombie-ish guy. It's all like very cut and paste. It's like they make a mold of it, and they go, here's our clown. Next year, it's the same clown, he's just got gray pants instead of green. And, you know, it's kind of like, okay, the first year it was fine, you know, cool, okay, clown. Or whatever, I'm not just targeting the clown here. Okay, a witch, oh, okay. But every year, it's like, this is like the 6th year in a row that this stuff has been similar to me, and I'm just kind of tired of it, you know? So, you know, I rant all of this to say, if you enjoy this, That's awesome. I'm really glad, because I like enjoying stuff more than I like bashing it. But again, trying to be real with you, unlike the Limax pieces for this year, which I will talk about, which I had a very positive opinion of for this 2022 season, this lineup, not so much. I didn't really care for the lineup last year from Morris. My worry is if the decline in the quality keeps slipping, I really don't want to see Morris turn into Morbid, which would be terrible. And obviously it's not at that level yet by far, because by the end, Morbid was not even comparable to its original self. I don't want to see that happen to SVI. Does that make sense? They have a ton of potential. They've made some amazing products. I just don't want to see the same thing get reshelled to the point where it's just like doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results. That's crazy. So, that's my rant of talking about animatronics on the internet. You can dislike the video if you disagree, or you can like it because you heard a different opinion. I've heard a lot of people say how much they enjoy these. If you want to tell me how I'm wrong in the comments, I respect it, you know? I like to hear different opinions on it, but frankly, I just don't care for the lineup, guys. Just being real. Thanks for watching. I will see you in that next video. And remember, for all things Halloween, this is Hauntformer.